Family, welcome back to another combined 11 Premier League video. On today's video, we have the Tottenham versus Chelsea match on Monday, a huge one as a Spurs fan. Tottenham looking to stay top of the table and Chelsea looking to build any sort of positive run of form after their awful loss most recently. So let's get right into it. Starting with the goalkeeper position, I'm going Vicario. Vicario has been the best goalkeeper in the Prem this season, and if it wasn't for a missed handball call in the Palace match last time out for Spurs, he'd be the league leader in clean sheets with 5. At right back, I'm going Reece James. Pedro Porro has been really good for Spurs this season, especially defensively, which was one of the biggest question marks when talking about Porro as an out-and-out right back. But when it comes to Reece James, he's the best right back in the Prem, and now that he's getting fit, under Poch, I think he's really going to come into form, which is going to be perfect for England at the Euros because he is easily the best English right back when healthy. The two center backs are Romero and Van de Ven. There's no Chelsea player that even gets a shout. The only player that has an ounce of competition would be Thiago Silva, but Romero and Van de Ven have been two of the top 5 center backs in the Premier League this season. The way those two have meshed since Van de Ven has come into the side has been almost laughable, and you could almost argue that they've been the two best center backs in the entire Prem. Romero's leadership since becoming vice captain has been immense for this Spurs side, and Van de Ven is the quickest center back I think I've seen since starting to watch football. At left back is Destiny Udogie. Udogie has been one of the best surprises of the entire Premier League this year, being the best left back in the Prem, and then also gaining that starting left back position for Italy during their qualifiers. After a little fatigue at that international break, he did not actually start for that game against Palace on Friday, so he will be well rested and ready to put in a huge performance against Chelsea on Monday. With Chilwell out injured, Cucurella as the replacement is just fine, and there's no real competition between the two. At the 6 is Yves Bissouma. Looking back at what we paid for Bissouma versus what Chelsea paid for Caicedo is one of the funniest Premier League transfer differentials or mistakes I think you'll ever see. Not only is Bissouma a significantly better player than Caicedo, but there's almost a $100 million difference in their price tags. Chelsea got absolutely ripped off. I understand that they felt it was a huge need for them, and I think Caicedo with more time will become a better player, but Bissouma has been absolutely unreal for Tottenham at the number 6, controlling the play, breaking up the play, distribution, everything. He is fantastic. At center mid and playing the pivot with Bissouma is Enzo. While Popstar has had a great season, and at only 21 years old, he is going to be a force for this Tottenham side for years to come. You can only think about the fact that if you swapped Enzo with Popstar at that 8 position, that Tottenham would have a serious chance of being the second team to be invincible. At the 10, I'm taking Maddison over Conor Gallagher. Maddison is currently the 3rd best player in the world outside of Kylian Mbappe and Jude Bellingham, and that is not an exaggeration. The only other player who could possibly be in this conversation is Harry Kane due to his sheer goal involvements that he's had so far this season, but in a really weak Champions League group and a pretty weak Bundesliga and powerful Bayern side. As Tottenham fans, we always knew that when Kane got that move to that top tier team, he would always have this output. It was a no-brainer. But the sheer impact James Maddison has had on this Spurs side is insanity. Every single thing we do well week in and week out runs through him. And I know Son has been brilliant, but Maddison is at the forefront of every single attack Tottenham has. And I know this is going to sound insane, but if Tottenham win the Premier League and he continues in his form, and then England wins the Euros and he's the number 10 for that England Euro winning side, he will be in the running for the Ballon d'Or next season. If you really think about it, if England wins the Euros, it's between him, Bellingham, and Kane. And depending on how Bayern finish in their club season and where Real Madrid finish in La Liga, if Tottenham were to win the Prem and he wins the Euros and he's bossing things at that 10 position this summer, he is going to win the Ballon d'Or. At left wing is Mudryk. This should be a pick between Mudryk and Brennan Johnson, but I still believe Richarlison will get that start at the left wing. It's kind of a disservice to Richarlison. I know he'd be a bench player if he wasn't playing out wide, but he's clearly not a winger. He's not comfortable out there. You saw at the World Cup with Brazil, he's clearly a number 9. That's his best position, and putting him at left wing is just a disservice. And I think Mudryk, as you guys know, is a very quality player and will continue to grow under Poch, and he gets in at left wing. At striker is Heung-min Son. Sonny has been the best striker in the Prem this year. I don't want to hear about Haaland. I know he has the stats, but if you look deeper through the stats, Son is having a better year than Haaland on the pitch if you watch with your eyes. And the move that Ange made to switch him from left wing to striker is the best move I think Ange has made since coming over to Tottenham. You can clearly see Son lost a step and wasn't as prolific in those 1v1 situations when he was a winger, but his finishing and how clinical he is and how intelligent he is and his movements in that number 9 position is maybe the best version of Son we've ever seen. And in terms of Chelsea, the lack of the number 9 may be their biggest issue they've had this entire season, and neither Jackson or Broha will ever have a chance of getting in over Son. At right wing, I'm going Sterling. This is the only one where I feel it is very, very close, and I'm going to give him the nod just over Dex at that right wing position. Dex has been having a great season, but I can only think if you swap Decky and Sterling's situation in their sides, I think Sterling would probably be more deadly with all the great positions Kulusevski is getting in the Tottenham side. I think Sterling would provide a couple more good passes that result in goals and finish a couple goals. Kulusevski, everything looks so good until it's the final pass or the final product. He just hasn't turned it on just yet. I think it will come, but for now, I would take Sterling at right wing. That is 7 Spurs players and 4 Chelsea players, which as a Tottenham fan, I think is extremely fair, and I think everyone in the comments will agree with me. Let me know now if that was fair or where I went wrong, but it also is really funny to think about the amount of money spent over the past few years between these two clubs, and there's still 7 Tottenham players versus 4 Chelsea players. It shows how good of business we've been doing and how well Ange has formed this team to be firing on all cylinders. And finally, Chelsea fans need to relax. This project was always going to take a couple of years. And Nkunku for me was the best transfer that Chelsea made all summer, and that he got injured, and that I think it was a huge disservice to Pochettino with all the money they spent to not get a true prolific number 9. I think next summer, if Chelsea go and sign a true prolific number 9 like Osimhen or Balogun, and then they get a full season of health from Nkunku, this team will be primed and ready to compete for a top 4 position. They are in a 10 times better situation than United is for a multitude of reasons. For Chelsea, at least their players and new signings have shown signs of brilliance, whereas if you look at United, it is so grim. Casemiro is finished. Mount and Onana are 2 of the worst transfers of the entire summer. Antony and Rashford look absolutely horrid. And then that center back partnership of Varane and Lisandro just isn't going to be a solid center back partnership going forward in the Prem. Outside of Bruno and Rasmus, this team looks in absolute shambles. And that's even looking into the future. If they don't get a new owner and spend a huge amount of money, Man United could be looking at consistent mid-table finishes until a true change comes to that club. That is all for this video. And my final message is, Spurs fans, stay optimistic. I truly do think we have a chance to do it all. I think eventually, honestly, City will take over, but I do think at this point, second place is a positive finish. And Chelsea fans, relax. It is going to be a project. All the players that have been coming in are truly young. And Poch has shown time and time again just how good he is at breeding those new players. You get Nkunku back and you sign a striker, and this team will be ready to actually compete going into next season. Have patience and it'll all work out. Thank you all for watching. I will see you for the next Premier League Combined 11. If you've enjoyed the video, make sure you like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Peace.